Good evening, Facebook. I'm Josh Johnson. We're going to crank this thing up momentarily. We have a lot to get to, not a lot of time to get to it. We've got the 10 o'clock news coming up in about 18 minutes, so that we've got a hard out time just before 10 p.m. So obviously we have much to discuss. We'll get through all of it, I promise. Obviously, a lot of our focus is going to be on the risk of strong to severe thunderstorms around the state that gets in here tomorrow evening and then tomorrow night. We've declared a first alert weather day to account for this possibility. And the greatest risk, we'll say up just right out of the gate here, is going to be over into west and southwest Alabama. And we'll walk you through all the mapping here in a moment, talk timing as well, with all of this thing that we're going to have to deal with together, this risk of some strong to severe thunderstorms. So let's dive into the data as always. First, I'd just like to thank you for being with us. We'll turn on the light there. There we go. That's better, right? So Facebook Live is now operational. That's always a good thing. Let's dive into what we're seeing in the mapping here. So first map I want to show you, this is the Storm Prediction Center outlook for this whole event. We use a similar one. They don't match perfectly, but the overall idea here is consistent, whether you're getting the data from us or from the National Weather Service or the Storm Prediction Center. Bullseye over Mississippi, Jackson to Natchez, back into Louisiana. That's a moderate risk in the SPC hierarchy of words. For Alabama, the highest threat runs from roughly Tuscaloosa to Mobile, that corridor that includes Demopolis, Linden, Grove Hill, Jackson, Greensboro, Utah, Thomasville, Pritchard, Yellow Pine, Chatham, Butler, West Alabama. They're in the level 3 risk on a scale of 1 to 5. Then you've got the yellow here, Birmingham to Montgomery to Opp and points west from there. That's the slight risk. East of there, a marginal risk exists. So the moral of the story is no matter where you are in Alabama, there is a risk of damaging weather. Now, the risk is highest, obviously, the farther west you go. So let's walk through this together here. So this is the high-res rapid refresh model. Pretty good data on this usually. Sometimes it overdoes things, sometimes it underdoes things, but this is pretty good, particularly on timing. So we'll walk through this together. So line of storms approaches the Mississippi River. This is tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Notice how most of Alabama is dry. It's warm, it's comfortable, not much going on. Tomorrow morning, this is 7 a.m. Okay, here is 10 a.m. We're still pretty quiet. Thunderstorms firing down here in southeast Mississippi. These would need to be watched. Main line runs from Memphis back towards Alexandria, Louisiana. 3 hours later, okay, this is 1 in the afternoon. Most of Alabama quiet, but those cells in Mississippi now straddling the state line. So remember, this is one run of one model. It's an idea. It's not a perfect forecast. It's an idea. So that's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock now in the afternoon. Intense supercells firing back here in east central Mississippi. Storms ahead of those could be severe. The environment at this point in West Alabama becoming increasingly supportive of that. Okay, here is 21Z. That's 4 in the afternoon. And you've got a line of tornadic supercells that goes from Tupelo back to Meridian. Out ahead of it, individual cells in west central Alabama that would need to be watched. Here's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Individual cells in central Alabama. Main line runs from Tuscaloosa to Mobile, roughly. So this is again 7 p.m., 8, 9, 10 p.m. Line of storms now runs from about Clanton to Evergreen. Within that line, there would be embedded pockets of damaging wind gusts, large hail, and perhaps a couple of tornadoes. There's midnight. Dadeville, Alex City, Wetumpka, Montgomery, back towards Andalusia, and points west from there. Kind of a messy signature here. What we call a QLCS, quasi-linear convective system. It's like a line, but not quite. All right, fast forward, 2 in the morning. getting into central and east Alabama. Now remember, though, as this moves towards the east, overall conditions here for tornadoes become less favorable. They don't go away entirely, but they do become less favorable. So the greatest tornado risk far and away is West Alabama. Places like Tuscaloosa, Moundville, Utah, Demopolis, Linden, Nanophilia, Sweetwater. South from there back down towards Mobile would be, the greatest risk of a tornado in this sort of pattern. Keep on popping it east. So this is now 10Z. It's 5 in the morning. Big cluster of storms covering much of east central, southeast, and south central Alabama. Back edge of it runs from about Rockford to Lounsboro to Atmore. Okay, this is 3 hours after that. So we're now 8 in the morning. Storm still lingering down in the Wiregrass. The rest of us, this is over. And this is 11 a.m. By 11 a.m., it's all gone. So Jessica's asking about the STP. Yes, I will show you that. Asking, how are the winds going since we're under wind advisory? That's a good point, Carrie. Even away from storms, winds in this kind of setup are going to be up in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range. So get those trash cans, patio furniture, pool floats, secure those. Kathy asked, why don't you use the Torcon number system like the Weather Channel? Kathy, they made that up. They made the Torcon up. So that is their deal. Why don't we use it? Because it's a made-up thing that they made up, so I don't know how they even calculate it. So I wouldn't know where to start as far as calculating it goes. Fortunately, the rest of the meteorological world uses what's called the significant tornado parameter, among other things. This is not a one-size-fits-all. And that's the other thing. Tornado forecasting is not as simple as throwing out a 1 through 10 number. I wish it was. Whether it's the STP or the Torcon, whatever, it's not that simple. Carrie says, not happy about this. Join the club. James, where's the greatest risk for tornadoes in our area? West Alabama. Teresa, is this tonight or tomorrow night? This is tomorrow night. Kristen, Prattville. Okay, so this is the significant tornado parameter. Notice this thing really bullseyes in Louisiana and Mississippi. But by tomorrow evening, we do see some fairly substantial significant tornado parameters over here from about Birmingham to Monroeville and points west. And it keeps on, but as it goes east, it really fizzles to some degree. Now, it never gets to zero, and that quite frankly is sort of the problem here. Let me take you back and show you this. So again, that's the STP. Yellow really gets our attention. Red certainly does too on this map. The lighter blue means there's a chance, but it's not terribly high. So see what I mean? As this goes from West Alabama, it's fairly high. East Alabama, it's much lower. So, but understand that's all relative. There's still a risk. So again, this is tomorrow night and into early on Wednesday. And we've got some timing maps I can fire up and show you too that'll kind of walk you through this in a little bit of greater detail. But West Alabama, the window opens around 1 in the afternoon and lingers as late as midnight to 1 a.m. Let's do this. There's the timing line right there. So I will make this full screen. There you go. That's the timing of this whole kind of situation here. And I'm going to temporarily remove the logos so that you can see it. So, again, that would be, we'll get into the details here. We'll say 1 p.m. through midnight, Linden, Demopolis, Uniontown, Marion, Sweetwater, Nanophilia. 5 p. to 3 a.m., Selma, Camden, Evergreen, Greenville, Montgomery, Prattville, Millbrook, Wetumpka, Clanton, Rockford, Alex City. And really, for all those cities that I just named, it's as early as 5 p.m. In those areas, though, the core risk will come probably more like 11, midnight, somewhere in there. So for Prattville, Millbrook, Montgomery, Greenville, the main window of concern here would be about 10 p.m. Tuesday through about 1 or 2 in the morning on Wednesday. and the risk would be lower in that part of the state than it is elsewhere. Helen, we love you, Josh, but where's your sidekick, Tyler? He's in bed. He has to be on the air at 4:30 in the morning, so he is hopefully sleeping like a baby. So that's the idea here. So is Greenville main concern the wind and the hail? I think there's a tornado risk in Greenville as well. It is lower, but it is there. What is the risk like for Greenville? You have a risk. That is the risk for Greenville. There is a risk. I'd put it in the low range, but certainly not zero. There's the map we've been kind of rolling out or have had today. Let me take the screen solo here so you can make sense of it. Again, I do not want you to get caught up on colors and words. What you need to know is the timing on this is tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning. The risk is highest in West Alabama, relatively lower in the eastern counties, but there is a risk area-wide. So there you go. Texas is catching it now. In fact, let me show you that. This is the radar out of Texas. Multiple tornado warnings now. One northeast of College Station, another tornado-warned storm on the southwest end of Tyler, Texas. So they've had a heck of a night. Already multiple tornadoes out there in Texas out of this whole situation. Is there a chance that the first wave of storms caps the second wave, Jessica? Probably not. If anything, I think the first wave is the iffier of the two. I think it mainly is West Alabama, and it sort of weakens as it moves towards the east. Beauregard is in the very low risk, Teresa. There's that risk map again. Lee County on the very low side. Everyone's asking what about their towns. It's on the map, would be my advice there. Any tornado is not good, but are you thinking long track and large tornadoes for Autauga, Elmore? I think it's unlikely there. I think the greater risk of a long track tornado would be west of there, west of Selma. Thoughts about the Dothan area? The risk there is very low, not zero, but very low. What about Opt? Storms come through late tomorrow night. Damaging wind, large hail, isolated tornadoes are all possible. Going south of the beach, Josh, what is the timeline for Panama City? I don't know, Lee. I have been pulling out my hair all day trying to figure out the weather here. Probably about the same as Geneva or so. So that would mean midnight to 6, 11 p to 6, somewhere in there for the Panama City area. So the moral of the whole thing here, as we get ready to start the 10 o'clock news, you need multiple reliable ways of getting weather warnings, and they need to be capable of waking you up. We had a deal this past go-round where someone was asleep in a mobile home in Atmore and they woke up thrown into the woods. They survived, but that was exceptionally lucky. I don't want that to happen to you. So tomorrow, this doesn't hit till late tomorrow. You have time to go buy a NOAA weather radio. Get one with the same technology so you can program it for your specific county and it will alert you. You've got to do that. That's kind of the baseline. Add our weather app for added context. We do video briefings, all sorts of updates. I'm about to do a series of videos to go on the weather app tomorrow. So be watching the weather app for updates there. So a lot of what about questions. Diana says, people learn where you are on the map. I'm not going to say that, but I'm not going to disagree with it either, if we're just calling a spade a spade. All right, that's what we've got right now. That's the mapping we have now. That's our thought process right now. Just wanted to give you kind of some inside intel on this whole thing. We'll get more model data overnight. So watch the app tomorrow morning. Tyler will have updates. I'll do a Facebook Live tomorrow as well. Again, things you can do. Get the weather radio tomorrow. They're $30. You can get them at a lot of big box retailers. Walmart sells them. Academy Sports sells them, etc. Know where you live on the map. If you don't know, go to google.com/maps. Type in the name of your county, Autauga County, Alabama. Hit enter. It will highlight your county, and you'll be able to see it right there. That will really help you process a lot of the information we're putting out. A lot of it is in map form, and if you don't know exactly where you are on the map, it's not that helpful for you. We understand that. there's not a great way around it, to be perfectly honest. Jessica says, do you expect the SBC to upgrade or downgrade any areas tomorrow? I think they'll probably let it ride so far. To me, it looks like a moderate risk type day for them. To our west, primarily. Mississippi, Louisiana, more of a medium risk for us. All right, so appreciate everybody for watching, as always, and for participating. Megan asked, does the Weather Radio app work efficiently? Honestly, Megan, I have no idea. I can't speak to it. I don't have it, so I hate to tell you good, bad, or ugly. I know that the Weather Radio itself is, its reliability is unquestionably higher than any app. Just because of the way cell phones work and all of that. The Weather Radio technology is old, but it is super reliable. It is on a very stable platform. All right, everybody, I got to wind this thing down now. My apologies. The 10 o'clock news on WSFA starts momentarily. I do hope you'll join us there. We'll have more maps, updated model data, updated expectations for what we think is going to happen across the state, and you'll be able to watch it on a larger screen, your television, instead of this Facebook Live. All right, I hope you all have a